Hi, Dave. Hi,
Hey,
Dan.
Tony, how are
Hey,
you?
Tony, how you doing?
Good, good. Can you hear us fine?
Yep.
Yep,
Okay. All right, it's 4:06 on October 11th. We have a quorum here, so we can officially open the meeting of the Town Land Study Committee regarding 6 Antigua Way. Present is Tony Barletta, Julie Tarmy, Sheila Hamilton, Dan Taylor, David Hunt of the committee, as well as Frankie Cadilli of 6 Antigua Way and Dan Script, Town Council. Okay, so we have received the appraisal for 6 Antigua Way and the response to all the questions. I had forwarded those out to the members of the committee. So I guess first I'll start with, does any member of the committee have any question about the appraisal that we received, or would you want to go through some of the answers on the guideline questionnaire?
I say just go through the questionnaire first.
And then we'll get
because
to the
most of
appraisal?
them, yeah, come back to the appraisal.
Okay. A lot of this we had answered at our last meeting.
Exactly.
So the description of the property, there's a plot plan, its current use is residential R2. It's the last lot on a dead end street with no impact to town or abutters. Transferee applied for building permit, approval was given. Written project was completed. Town inspections approved and signed off. Oh, so this was about the history of the building permit process regarding the current property. What is stated reason for the proposed transfer to give clear title to Antigua Way? So the basis of this is a portion of the front steps or flower box on a map or in the plot plan shows that it extends, onto Antigua Way proper. If you've walked the site, if any member of the committee has actually gone out there and walked the site, you wouldn't notice that if you were out there. It looks, you would think the property line's the front of that flower box there and front steps, but when you compare that to the map and you look at the plot plan, you see that it extends a little bit over the line. There's the appraisal. It asks in this questionnaire, it says, what is the assessed value of the property and what is the fair market value of the property? In the appraisal, it states the subject assessment for year 2022 is $851,900 with a land value of $486,800. Land value for the subject per assessment is $131.18 per square foot. Market indicates vacant land to have an estimated value of $29 to $58 per square foot. Location, topography, and view all affect the value. Based on research, the value range is $5,568 at the lower range and $11,136 at the high. Due to location of the land in question, estimated value would fall in the lower range. Current zoning R2, historical use none. Natural history of this site, current use no change. Maintenance and other costs of the town presently associated with the property, no. What input has there been from abutters, town committees? The 2021 town meeting approved the sale. Well, authorized the board of selectmen to sell the property. You'll see on page 3 that answer to all those questions is none. Page 4. Is asking about the impact of the transfer, and there really isn't any. Other than clearing the title for the homeowner. So no impact to the abutters. And then you have the plot plan. Survey. And the appraisal.
One is a copy of the assessor's tax notice.
Yeah. Yes, assessor's tax map.
Yeah.
That's this one.
Yes,
All right. So does any member of the committee have any questions?
I do have one. And it is, I think, the actual plot plan, but I see the words easement, but that's not what you're intending. True, Frank? Says easement area over land owned by the town of Nahant. We're not wanting an easement.
No, what would be the term?
In fee?
Yeah, fee simple.
Would just be, yeah, I think that the,
What would,
read land surveyors, wouldn't this just be?
In fee, it'd be in fee, FEE.
in fee?
Yeah, easement is a right to pay over, on it, but a fee is actual.
Okay,
Here, wouldn't we say that this should be parcel 1 and parcel 2? See, there isn't any. And it's very small.
Where's parcel,
Well, there isn't.
easement area A.
Okay,
and
you can see that. All right, thank you.
Barely.
So we would want that to just say parcel area A to be included
Yeah,
with
easement
parcel
would be-
2.
Easement would be-
Correct. Right, so,
we're gonna call that parcel A instead of easement A?
yeah.
Parcel area A. So just replace
Easement.
easement with parcel.
And I see you had this done by Reed, but is he still be able to help you do anything to make that change?
No.
And did he give you the Mylar?
He's retired, he's like, I don't,
You know about his plans,
Hmm?
is
I don't know.
Tony Cappuccini, his firm.
Hayes?
Mhm.
Hayes Engineering, you may have to contact Hayes Engineering to make sure that you get the Mylar. Either have them correct it or, yeah, because you have to have this recorded.
no, I understand that.
What's what's
It's a special, it's a requirement by the Salem Registry of Deeds.
okay?
I know, so sorry about that, but
No, So,
just so that you don't get,
So basically, I gotta go to a surveyor with this plot plan
yeah,
and just tell him and ask him to make Mylar.
well, no, he or she, okay, whoever this new surveyor could be that would sign off on this. Can strike that and write it in parcel, okay? And then that can get recorded.
Okay, in other words, we have to find a surveyor that will honor Reed's work.
Yes, and Dan just said Hayes Engineering bought out
Oh,
everything,
yes.
yes.
Hey, thank you. for that.
Hayes,
I
Hayes,
can forward you that information.
okay?
But
And
they
they're
don't even,
close by.
they don't even need to,
Are they in the area?
They're in like Woburn, so I guess,
November,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought-
So they must have all of Ralph's files,
Right,
then. Okay?
yes,
And basically, all you're looking for is to remove the word easement and add the word parcel.
right.
So instead of easement A, it'll say parcel A.
Yeah, so parcel area A.
Okay.
Because when the deed is rewritten, it will have to include that,
Okay,
okay? So because you're wanting clear title.
no, I know that. Okay,
You're kidding.
okay.
But that won't interrupt your deliberations today.
Right,
Okay,
Yeah, there's two references on that plot plan too, just to make sure you cover both. It says easement area A twice on that.
right.
Yep.
Down in the heading or the title, right?
Yep,
Okay. It's on the left and the right.
Right.
you got
Oh,
it, yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I can't see. Little.
Thank you, Dan, on that. I would have never known where the files would have went.
I just found out by
Yes,
accident. It wasn't anything. I was just talking to him one day. He said, oh, by the way, I brought these plans.
It's a good thing.
And Ralph. You're hunting or fishing somewhere up in Maine or something.
And on this, Frank, on the right side there where the shed is, the grass area, it says easement area B, 5,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Do you have a current easement there or is that, do you
No.
just measure that out?
you just made that out.
I would probably get rid of that since it's not part of this process.
Oh, yeah.
Getting rid of like, I'm confused.
Right now, it's
You can call it, unless it changes it to parcel B.
I wouldn't describe it at all. I
Okay.
would just leave it,
It's just town owned land,
yeah.
Yeah. Tell him, yeah.
right? So that's it. Just no.
I would just strike that.
Okay.
And get rid of these
Well, you want them to do it?
hash marks. No, they'll do it.
Oh,
Ask them to do it.
Okay.
You don't want the deed to record something that says easement when
Yeah,
it's not
No,
really
it's not.
an easement.
right, so just remove
Yep.
the term.
Remove the hash marks and remove the title of, where it says easement area B 5,000 plus minus square feet.
Sounds good,
All right.
yeah.
Any other questions? Dan, would you mind, help explain the process
Sure,
that, we would go through? So tonight, hopefully, I would like to put a motion forward that would make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. If it passes, what's the next step for them?
The next, for this board is nothing. They make the recommendation one way or the other. That recommendation, positive or negative, goes to the board of selectmen no matter what. And the board of selectmen have the ability to either accept it, deny it, or do something else. And then at that point, assuming they want to go forward, they announce that it's available for disposition and they don't advertise, they explain any reuse restrictions that might be on it. Like you can't use it for, a business or something like that, something silly, but they have the ability to do that. And then they just wait for, because this is less than $35,000, much less in this case. They just have to make that declaration, mention any sort of reuse restrictions, and then they just wait for bids to come in. There's no need to advertise. There's no specific time period, although I think 30 days would be reasonable. And then they would assess the bids when they come in and make a decision from there. And just let them go through the actual transaction that we did up down the street here 3 years ago. It's not, because it's such a inexpensive property, the process is much less involved. As we mentioned earlier, it's reasonable, like standards. Good practice. So today, the only decision for this board is to recommend or not.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to put a motion forward, but before I do, is there any other comment or question from members of the committee? All right, so I move that the Town-Owned Land Study Committee recommend the sale of parcel area A, 192 square feet, by the Board of Selectmen for a recommended price. That'd be the right terminology.
Yeah, that's fine.
For a recommended price of $5,568.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor? We'll do a roll call vote. I'll just go as I see you. David Hunt,
David Hunt, yes.
Dan Taylor,
Yes.
Sheila Hamilton,
Sheila Hamilton, yes.
Julie Tarmy,
Julie Tarmy, yes.
and Tony Barletta, yes. Votes unanimous.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, there's
motion
one
passes.
The current vote unanimous, but there's one.
Right.
abstention.
Okay, so motion passes. The Board of Selectmen meet on October 19th. Well, they do meet tomorrow, but it's too late to add it to that agenda. And then they meet again on Wednesday the following week. I think that's the 19th.
Yes.
And yep. So might be able to put it on there for that meeting.
Great.
Tony, can I just read that motion back to you? Just make sure I have it
Yeah,
correct. I move that the Town-Owned Land Study Committee recommend the sale of parcel area A, 192 square feet by the Board of Selectmen for a recommended price of $5,568.
maybe just put a plus or minus next to 192 square feet. That's how it's described in the
Plus or
appraisal.
minus, okay.
And did we say 6 Antigo Way?
Nope.
So may I,
Add-
can we modify that motion?
Yes.
And I'll second the edit if we add the address.
Sure, I move to amend the motion to include the address of 6 Antigua Way.
And I'm gonna second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, David Hunt,
David Hunt, yes.
Dan Taylor,
Dan Taylor, yes.
Sheila Hamilton,
Sheila Hamilton, yes.
Julie Tarmy,
Julie Tarmy, yes.
Tony Barletta, yes. Motion passes. All right, there you go, Frank.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time, and I will get in touch with Hayes too sweet.
So before we leave, we have the Town-Owned Land Study Committee needs to take up the process of the Coast Guard housing. So we should get on a set schedule, because that's gonna be a complicated issue. And so I'd like to talk about, a time frame, a timeline, a regularly scheduled meeting. If that's okay with you guys. I know, as we get to December and January, finance committee and town meeting preparation takes up a lot of time. I know that the assessors and the planning board, meet fairly regularly too. And then, of course, the Board of Selectmen meet every other Wednesday too, so. Monday seems like the best, a Monday night option seems like the least conflicting option. Is there any issue with Monday nights for you guys?
Not
What
for
time
me.
you thinking, Tony?
I don't think so. Are we talking about, when you say Monday night, are we talking about this sort of a time or an evening time?
Yeah.
I could do from 4 o'clock, generally I like to do it earlier, so it's, it's. We're getting out in time for dinner and,
Yeah.
with
that's
little
fine
kids at
with me.
home. For me, I'd either rather do it at 4 o'clock or I'd rather do it at like 6:30. I don't really want to start like at 7:30. That's kind of late.
Yeah,
I like the 4 p.m.
If 4 o'clock works for you guys.
yeah, I think that's good.
And I don't think we need to meet it's not like every Monday either.
Would it be possible to say 4:30 instead of 4?
We could even do 5.
Well, the only reason is I sometimes have court that ends at 4:30 and I would hate to have to try to miss a reschedule just because of a half an hour. I could easily do a Zoom at 4:30. So either 4:30 or 5 to me works.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do 5 o'clock. I probably, and then if we're doing it by Zoom, I could get home by then, or if I'm staying here, it's not that big of a deal, so. Let's say 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And. I don't know, what do you guys want to do? The first Monday of the month? Do you want to try and do twice a month, or do you want to try and just do once a month? We have a lot of work.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, should
I
we see
guess-
how far we get on the first one, and then we can make a determination whether we need 2 or 3.
I think we should do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Schedule the first one and then from there.
it'd be helpful, Tony, too, just to like that questionnaire that we went through. Is that going to be appropriate for an exercise for this next, like, the Coast Guard houses, right? Because I'm assuming, just given the size and the dollar value, like, are we considering all of the questions? And Dan, I don't know if you would obviously have more insight, but I'm sure once you get above a certain dollar value, right, the whole process becomes significantly more complex. So it's just, I think it'd be helpful, just like, what's the right approach to take, understanding now significantly increased value of like what we think we could come back to as far as the appraised value for these pieces of land.
yeah, would the town be required to get an appraisal?
Yeah, anytime we dispose of property, an appraisal is required. We can sometimes rely on the assessor's appraisal. So that might be an easier way to get the job done.
And would that appraisal? Would we have to wait until the land is cleared for that appraisal?
No, we would be appraised at, assuming the land is cleared, graded, tanks are removed, so we can get ahead of that process. The intangible here is that we're looking at a subdivision, so right now there might be an entire appraisal on the 3.35 acre parcel, but now we're dividing it up into 12 spots, so then we need an appraisal for each one, because we're selling them individually.
Right,
So then we don't have that in Sheila's office.
they're gonna have different values based on their
Right, and I can,
location, right? Like their view
And the size of the square footage, right?
right, is, I don't wanna spend more town money than we have to but certainly want to get is there?
And do, the assessed values, absolutely.
And is that like working with Patriot Properties to get them to reassess it?
No, I would
as
just
a
build it
future-
in the program.
Okay,
I'd
What's
create,
the difference between an assessed value versus the appraised value, right? So I know the assessed value is that what's used to determine tax payments or versus the appraised value, right? I guess it's more just a question to say, like, would we expect a significant decrease just given that many plots and
a decrease in value.
no different, sorry, will we expect differences if we just use the assessed value versus actually getting each one of those appraised based off of like market conditions today?
I don't know the answer to the question. We don't have a current assessment because it only assesses one big parcel. I don't think it'd be appropriate to just divide that number by 12.
No, I'd have to create
Yeah.
them based upon your plan. I would create
Yes.
lots to assess
And then
based upon.
the numbers you come up with, we can use.
I think Dan's question is,
Yes.
would an appraiser go through a different process that would result in a different value?
And that's yes. The answer to that question, Dan, is yes, because the assessed values are always January the 1st. So right now, our tax bills have not gone out. But those tax bills will be based on January the 1st of 2022. I don't have a January 1st, 2023 value, but I might have one in May or June.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know how far out or how long, but hopefully maybe May could have new values. New costs
Hmm.
established for January 1st.
yeah. Because is the end goal just to basically come up with what we think these parcels of land would sell for at the time when they sell, like pieces of land are actually sold to whoever?
Right, and maybe one might sell more than another one. I
We
know
should be
you
careful
never
about
know.
getting two people. This is on the agenda, and this is gonna be hot topic.
Okay.
Yeah, let's,
And that's where I don't know what the whole process from what we're supposed to, like the whole bidding process, what we're supposed to go through with what we're recommending to the selectmen, right? Like what is the end goal here? Like, what do we basically take
we-
the selectmen and say, this is what we think you should sell it, and this is what we think the value is to move forward? Right,
yeah, right. So our mission as a committee is to provide the Board of Selectmen a recommendation of whether to put the property up for sale, yes or no, and B, what we predict the value of that property to be, or what we gain from the information from the appraisal and the other information that we get from the owner, or those different type of factors.
Mhm.
Because it's a little bit more of an in-depth process that the Board of Selectmen don't have the time to go through. And when this committee was created, it was because there was a property going up for sale. It was a town meeting vote, and that town meeting vote created our committee and said, we authorize the Board of Selectmen to sell, but before they do, we'd like to create a committee that would review the value of the property and make a recommendation to them before they take a vote. So town meeting authorizes the Board of Selectmen to sell, but it doesn't direct the Board of Selectmen to sell.
Mhm.
So the step in between that authorization and them actually voting to sell is our process to review like the fine details of the property at hand, and make a recommendation to them of a dollar amount and whether to move forward or not.
Mhm.
They don't have to do what we say. But we go through this process as part of, because was created at a town meeting vote.
Yeah, 2002, actually 20 years ago,
20 years ago. Wow.
April 2002.
So it isn't, this isn't on the agenda for tonight, so Dan's right, we shouldn't go too far down this conversation. But I understand why you brought it up, Dan, because as we're trying to figure out how often we're gonna meet.
Right, exactly.
Well, why don't we just pick the first one and then we'll go from there. So. Let's see. We could meet on Monday of next week. If you guys are available, the 17th. The following, I can't do the 24th, and then the 31st is Halloween, so I can't do that either because I have young children now. So
I'm free the 17th, Tony.
if you guys want to meet on the 17th, we could do that. If not, we could wait until the 7th of November. For me.
We should get started.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can do the 17th.
Busy day, but I'd much rather get started. That would be at 5 o'clock.
17th at 5 o'clock.
And we can be in person if we want to be and come into that room, or we
Mhm.
can do Zoom.
It's all how you post the meeting. So if I post it as a hybrid, then we can do it like this. If we post it as just Zoom, then we would all be meeting virtually. And, or if we just posted it in person, it would have to be an in-person meeting.
I go for the hybrid.
I like hybrid because you never know what
Yep.
situation you're gonna be in.
Sorry.
It's okay. All right, so 5 PM, October 17th.
Mhm.
That's okay. All right, I'm good. You guys good?
Yeah, what did we decide? We're doing,
The 17th at 5
okay,
o'clock.
Monday, 17th at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'll get it posted. And we'll send out the Zoom link. It'll also be online, so.
Is there any basic? Is there any basic information on this, on the Coast Guard housing that would be useful? Just-
I'll send it out to the committee with the link for the meeting.
Okay,
But that first meeting, I think it's gonna be more like a game plan.
Yeah.
Game planning meeting. I don't know if we'll get really into the details, but,
okay,
all right.
all right.
sounds good.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Dave Hunt,
I vote aye.
Dan Taylor,
I vote aye.
Sheila Hamilton,
Sheila Hamilton, yes.
Julie Tarmy,
Julie Carmy, yes.
and Tony Barletta, yes. Good night.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Aye.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.
Bye-bye.